And good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are around the world. I am Marcus Holmes, the love activist, and I am so glad that you are here. Thank you, Pam, Coach Pam Bass, Chantel Michelle Ballard, Wendy Walker. I hope all of you will click share and tag someone to join us in tonight's topic that I am going to put on pinned to the top and momentarily. I'm so excited to have you here in Love and Stuff at 8. Oh, gracious greetings from Tabitha, our sister, our wonderful sister. If you aren't following Tabitha Goodner, you owe yourself some uh you owe yourself to get in with sharpening yourself. She's a sharpening sister. I'm gonna call her a sharpening sister. And you want to make sure that you click follow and follow her across all of the platforms. She's a part of our Love and Stuff community, and we absolutely love her, our dear sister. We love her so much. All right, so uh click share, tag someone to join us. Whether you're watching us live here on the Love and Stuff page, on the Marcus R. Holmes page on Facebook, inside of Love and Stuff group here on Facebook. Shouts out to you. Twitch TV with the HR Passion Guy, as well as YouTube events. We're grateful that you are here and grateful for another Tuesday evening edition of Love and Stuff. So click share. Tag 5 of your closest Facebook friends, 5 of your more popular ones to join us in tonight's discussion, which is straight from the inbox. We often bring topics forward straight from the inbox in the hopes that we might see ourselves and that we might share perspectives with others so that we all can do this thing. We can increase the amount of love and up our love game. Will you drop in the comments hashtag up your love game tonight? Because I think it requires us to up our love game. Yep, I've posted it in a couple of places. I'm going to post it in another place. And while I'm doing that, I hope you will click share. Click share so that someone will join us in what I think will be a great show. And again, we just want to enliven your perspective on various things that may be happening around you that you might say, hey, I wonder if that were me, how I would handle it. And you might find yourself in the same situation, because what I've come to know in these 4 years of doing the Love and Stuff community, I think I knew in part some of this. Thank you, Tabitha. Join Tabitha and hashtag up your love game. What I knew in part is that you're not alone. I'm not alone. You know, sometimes you feel alone. Sometimes I'm in the shower, don't want to do too TMI. And sometimes I'm talking to my loved ones that are on the other side, a word of advice that I got from a great man. And sometimes the tears are in the rhythm of the water, right? And there are times that I thought I'm the onlyest one, but I learned on this journey, my friends in the Love and Stuff community and around and abroad, I'm not the only one, and you are not either. So I want you to hug yourself and say, I'm not alone. You're not alone. And we're walking this road to grateful. We're on the road to Thanksgiving. We're living to thank. Instead of just thanking to live, we're living to thank every day, to get up and be grateful. I want you to know that you're not alone, that though you may have had varied experiences, you are not alone. And so, why don't you click share and tag someone who you might think is alone to join in this discussion? While we're doing that, I want to remind you that next week is Thanksgiving, and on Thanksgiving Day, from 12 noon Eastern Standard Time to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be live right here on all of these platforms, and we will have an open room of love, a grateful room, a Zoom room with many of the folks in our Love and Stuff community who will come in and spend time with you. If you think that you're going to be alone for the holidays, or because of the pandemic, social distancing has created smaller gatherings in your family, or maybe you have experienced the loss of loved ones and haven't been able to celebrate with them, I'm asking you to join us at any point throughout the day. We'll have people who will be sharing words of encouragement, maybe sharing recipes and food, maybe sharing some memories of their loved ones and of holidays, sharing some entertainment. All of that will be there for you on Thanksgiving Day from noon Eastern Standard Time to 8 p.m. And we'll be pubbing that a little bit more, but we want you to join us. Members of our Love and Stuff community will host each hour. or some of them maybe each half hour. Some of them will gather together. We'll try to get you a schedule so you'll know, but you can join them, join us as we celebrate together as a community. Even though we may be miles apart, some of us, we can come together virtually and just let you know you are not alone. And we're grateful for you. And we hope that you will be there. That's right, Tabitha. You are not alone. You're not alone. Even though sometimes you might close the door to your home or close the door to your bedroom and feel like there's no one who understands, that no one is listening. First and foremost, I must advise you that the quintessential love, God is everywhere. His eyes are in every place, observing that of the good and the bad. If we made our beds in hell, he's there. If we flew to the highest mountain, he'd be there. But you also have people in the Love and Stuff community, some who've experienced loss just like you, some who are grieving the loss of their marriage like you, grieving the loss of a child like you, grieving the loss of that home, that job like you. You're not alone. Things are different, but the thing that is still constant is you're still here. And there's still an opportunity for you to live to thank. And I hope that you will join us on Thanksgiving. All right, I'm going to post in the, I want to make sure everybody can see it in the comments. I'm not seeing it populating every place, and I'm just trying to do that. Make sure that everybody sees the topic, and then I will go right into the topic. While I'm doing that, I hope that you will. Just trying to do that. Make sure all right. That everybody sees. Got some volumes going on all over around the world. All right, so I'm gonna see. Pin that comment topic. I hope you see it there on the Marcus R. Holmes page, and definitely we're going to get it pinned on the Love and Stuff page. And while I'm doing that, I hope that you will click share and tag someone to join us in this topic. You know, Thanksgiving is always an interesting time, especially if you are from a large family or a blended family, or you have multiple facets to your family. Drop in the comments a like or a love, a thumbs up, a thumbs down. If you got a large family or you got multiple facets to your family, you got uncles and aunts that are just like brothers and sisters, or you have um, bonus dad or mom, stepdad or mom. You have adoptive parents and biological parents, and you all come together for Thanksgiving. Some families do that too as well, right? So the family makeup is multifaceted, okay? And if that is the case, you might also want for there to be peace among that family that's a multifaceted. All right. If that's you, give me a like or love. Yep, I want to eat my chitlins in peace. I know y'all do judge me. I'm gonna have chitlins if I find some. I'm not sure I'm finding any Aunt Bessie's chitlins, but if I find some, uh, I want to eat them in peace. I want to eat that turkey and dressing in peace. I don't put any gravy on my dressing. I think good dressing doesn't need gravy, but that's me. Don't do judge. I'm gonna have my mac and cheese in peace. I'm gonna have all of the fixings in peace, right? You want to have those in peace. I want you to give me a like or love that. Yes, I want to eat in peace. I want to enjoy in peace. Corey Mildred King has joined us. Thank you so much. And so from the inbox, as you can see from the topic, and I will read it aloud once. Thanksgiving can be a time that brings some people some trepidation, depending. All right. Tabitha says, struggling to create a new normal or tradition. Our immediate family is scattered, so it's time to get creative and innovative. Yes, creative and innovative. And Tabitha, I am trying to deepen my reach in that. Holidays have really been about my immediate family all of these years, which is still very important, though it's fewer of us. We've had some significant losses. But years ago, there were a group of my dad's siblings that we all came together for every holiday, and a number of them are gone. I'm trying to deepen my reach into some of those first cousins once removed, second cousins, so that Autumn gets a chance to meet all of those parts and facets of her family. And when I think of it, my family is much bigger than I thought the 13 siblings, 12 siblings my dad had, and 12 siblings that my mom had. Much larger even still than that. And so I'm trying to reach, as you say, creative and innovative to the folks that are in California and in New York, folks in Louisiana, and Mississippi, those folks there, folks in Chicago, to just be able to be innovative. Exactly what you say. I love it. I love it. And thank you so much, Sheikh Mahmoud Bey, for joining us. I hope you will click share and tag someone. I'm going right into the topic. All right. All right. Let's see. Okay. Here's the topic from the inbox. Thanksgiving can be awkward enough as it is with coronavirus and social distancing. Anybody agree with that? Give me some likes or loves if you agree with that. Thank you, Eunice Hunter, one of my cousins. Thank you so much. Why my gathering got to get complicated? She says, my brother-in-law, my husband's brother, recently got remarried. He lives out of state and he's coming back home for dinner. So he's returning back to their state for dinner. His ex-wife is like a sister to me. Heck, I'm one of their children's godmama. They have been divorced for 4 years and they were separated a year before. Of course, I invited her before I knew that my husband was inviting his brother. I'm sure that I told him, but he insists that he didn't know. The new wife became the girlfriend while they were still married, while the brother-in-law and sister-in-law were still married. Living separately, she says, but still married. Thank you, Karen Poole, for joining us. I can't uninvite her, so I'm going to let her decide. My husband says, buy 2 small turkeys and have dinner in shifts. What should I do? So I want to hear from you. Thanksgiving can be a wonderful dinner, or it could be giblet gravy flying all throughout the living room and dining room. Let's hope it's the former. But what do you do if maybe you miss the communication, which communication is a constant thread? You got to communicate. But let's say you missed the communication and didn't tell your husband or your wife, fellas, that you were inviting your brother-in-law who lives out of state. So it wasn't expected necessarily that he was coming, but you invited him. He's coming home. You've got to tell your wife. She invites your ex-sister-in-law. What do you do when he's remarried? Not the side chick, I want to be clear. But he remarried a woman that he started dating while he was still legally married, though separated. So we know who she is, the ex-wife. Everybody knows, right? What do? Do you uninvite somebody? Or do you ask them to make like adults? I want to hear from you. Drop in the comments. What would you do? What would you do? I'm with her. I don't think you can uninvite her. I don't think I would advise uninviting anybody to Thanksgiving dinner. I do think you do have to have some discussion with both parties, right? To make sure, because sometimes, even though we have parted, the negative feelings have not departed, right? Sometimes you have moved on, but you haven't gotten over it. Now, to me, that's not really moving on, but sometimes it's the truth that when you have a parting that's not amicable, and sometimes even amicable, but if you have a parting that's not amicable, there is some residue, there's some residual angst and maybe hurt that maybe hasn't been contended with in a way that allows you to be in the same room, same church, same house as another individual. And so in this case, the parting was not the most amicable, and they just haven't been in touch except for matters of the children. Okay. So they are co-parenting, but the distance has to make, a difference. It has. Karen says you inform and you invite one for dinner, one for dessert. So you're like with the husband. You're with the husband who says, uh-oh, did it kick me? Don't kick me now. Oh, Lord. You're with the husband who says, okay, one of my phones is, I'm trying to follow on one of the pages, keep up with the comments. The husband said, get 2 small turkeys. That way it won't look like the turkey was cut. Do a 1 o'clock dinner and a 4 o'clock dinner. or do a 2 o'clock dinner, leave a space of 4 hours so that you have time to eat and all that. Then get your spoon and smooth over the food and make sure that it just appears that there hasn't been any, food eaten. What do you say about that? What do you say? Should it be a case where you do 2 shifts of dinner? Anybody ever done 2 shifts of dinner? I know that in large families, like I said, my dad had 12 siblings, but he had about four. Let's see, Aunt Mary, Aunt uh, Ruby, Uncle Cade, Uncle Joe. Yeah, he had about 4 siblings that lived in the same city. So all of those families would come together, but they wouldn't always arrive at the same time. So oftentimes on Thanksgiving, my family, which would be my mom, my dad, me, and my 4 siblings, my niece, my nephew, when they came on, and then other nieces and nephews as they came, we would have dinner together first, and then the rest of the family would come. And so, we would move out, clean off our areas. Of course, the turkey would have already been cut. My dad would cut the turkey. I liked dark meat at the time, but I eat dark or white now. But I favor dark meat. No symbolism. I just do. And but everybody loved my mom's cooking, excellent cook. I had an uncle was like, Reen's dressing, save me a spoon of dressing. He'd always say that. And of course, my dad would be like, I don't like that you like my wife's food that much. But anyway, we do it in shifts, right? So my uncle Jay and my aunt Mary, who we call Aunt May, their son Gregory, sometimes their daughter Mary Lou would come, bless her memory. They would come in shifts. And so it would be 2 or 3 families at the same time. Where are the children going to be? The shifts would not work, but still awkward. The children are going to be there. The children will be there. But the children wouldn't have been with the dad if he was out of town. So he would not have seen his children for Thanksgiving, right? But he decided to come in town. So, but you raise a great point. That's a lot. Do they all know? That's a lot. Do they all know? Do they all know? Do they all know that she was the girlfriend while he was still married? Or do they all know that they're all coming? Well, they're gonna know, Mama V. That's the point. They're gonna know. And the wife is saying, hey, I can't uninvite her. It says live interrupted. Uh-oh. Okay. One is saying live interrupted. I'm gonna keep rolling. Um, Vonda Langford Allen has joined us. Thank you so much. Yeah, yes, Valencia. Thank you for finishing that question. They don't all, not yet. They're gonna know because the brother-in-law is going to tell the brother if the wife tells the sister, and the wife says she's gonna tell the sister because she's not going to uninvite her. But the husband is saying, don't tell anybody. Let's do it in shifts. Let's bring one set early with their own small turkey and us, and another small turkey with the second set, so it won't look like they, carved turkey. There won't be any questions. And the wife is saying, I'm not cooking 2 turkeys. I'm cooking 1 turkey and hopefully no chicken. You follow what I'm saying? I'm not gonna uninvite her. I'm gonna have the talk with her and say, I didn't know my husband was inviting your ex. I'll understand if you don't want to come, but I really want you to be there because they're like sisters. And anybody here who has had a sister in love, who has become as your sister, it's awkward, right? If that sister, same for you fellas, or brother is no longer part of the family proper because of a divorce, right? Because divorce for so many people means death and separation and no redesign or reconfiguration, reassignment of the lives that have come together, right? But oftentimes there are children involved in that, right? So if children are involved in that, there is a grief to the divorce, right? And people here will tell you. I've talked to a lot of folks that have been divorced, and they say it's a real grief, it's a real loss. And because it is a grief and a loss, I'm wondering, can somebody talk to us a little bit about, so what happens when you're so intertwined, so embedded in the family structure that has been created by the coming together, that you don't want to lose that? That's not a casualty of the war, right? And so, to Valencia's point, Mama V's point, then let's all grow up this Thanksgiving. That's a tough thing. Thank you, Charles Green. Thank you, Valerie Colbert Osamwadi, who I've got to get back on here because we got to get back on our Social Justice Tuesdays. We're getting ready to go into some critical times, people. And so we got to get back into our Social Justice Tuesdays. And we'll got so many things going. So many things going. All right. Speaking of Mama V, she's got a V encouragement show that you want to definitely watch on Tuesday mornings at 10:45 Central Standard Time, which would be 11:45 Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be doing something together next week on this road to grateful. We're on the road to grateful, and we're almost in stride on that road. I think that the road to grateful is an ever evolving journey. All right, click share and tag someone to join us. We're talking from the inbox about this divorce situation. Exes are going to end up being at the table, and we don't want giblet gravy. We don't want chitlins flying. Judge me. They're going to be chitlins on my table if I find Aunt Bessie's. We don't want any of that stuff to be flying, right? We want people to be able to come to the table and sit and be able to enjoy each other. And so how do we do that when we hadn't planned to have the two exes at dinner? That was not the plan. The wife didn't hear that her husband rather was inviting his brother. The husband didn't hear that his wife was inviting the sister-in-law or the ex-sister-in-law, depending on how you want to call it. They didn't communicate about who was on the guest list. And so, voila, the brother is coming in town with his new wife, who was the girlfriend while he was separated, still married, but separated. So she's not quite, though some people say she's a side chick. And forgive me, that might have been sexist. She's a side chick. A brother could have said that. She was, but in my estimation, they were separated and filing for divorce, and he met this woman. She was not the reason that they separated, is what I intend to say. That's what I intend to say. All right. I'm sure you're going to inbox me about raising my voice going into character. I appreciate it. 5 years of separate lives. Hopefully the ex has moved on. So let's focus on the children and thankful everyone is alive. I believe that should be the case. It's just that it seems that 5 years, 10 years, 8 years, 20, if you haven't dealt with the residue, it's tough to sit across the table from somebody and see their happiness when yours has ended. Unless you dealt with that residue, right? Because you could be sitting there thinking, he ain't never bought me a coat like that. Now, some people say that's Patty McBetty. But you feel how you feel, sit in the center of how you feel, and then deal with how you feel intelligently, emotionally intelligent, self-awareness, self-management, and graciously and with grace. Vanita Smith has joined us. Thank you so much for joining us. We're talking from the inbox. What would you do, Vanita, if your ex sister-in-law, you invited her to dinner and your husband invited his brother, her ex-husband, but neither one of you had told each other? Would there be some uninviting to ensure that there's no jello mold being tossed across the table? What would you do if two exes were invited to your dinner? Would you do it in shifts, as this wife's husband is saying, hey, babe, I got a solution. Buy 2 small turkeys, do one at 1 o'clock and one at 4 o'clock, or one at 2 o'clock, one at 6 o'clock, or 5 o'clock, whatever. 4 hours is what he said. Do it in 4-hour shifts so that their paths will be less likely to have crossed. Yeah, Some people say, Pam, that's Petty McBetty. Some people say that. People feel how they feel. Now, I mean, we can ascribe value to it, judgment to it, but it requires some empathy to say, I see where you're coming from when you've invested into a relationship, a marriage, a home, and someone that's just moved on. And they didn't just move on, they've been moving on. They've been on the move to moving on, but you haven't. It's tough to sit in that situation and not compare and say, "Oh, she got a rank. Hers is a quality, diamond, the clarity. But mine wasn't. Oh, she's got 3 carat. Oh, it's a marquee. Oh, she got a fur. Now, sisters, I'm just gonna say, she probably is definitely gonna have that. He probably gonna make sure she look good if he knows you're gonna be there, right? But and some will say that's Petty McBetty. But until you can give some empathy to say, I understand how difficult it could be if you haven't moved on and the other person has. That can be tough. And so it does require a conversation to say, sister in love, have you moved on? Is this going to be too much for you to sit across the table? Because I'm going to put on a good tablecloth. And I don't want it. I don't want to be trying to all December trying to get out gravy stains. So, do you think that you can do this, brother-in-law? Do you think you can do this? I don't want you to be ducking from some wine glasses. I want to just make sure we can do this. That residue, Lord healing, the 2 meals is ingenious to me, unless that too is shared. I think it's a good idea. If that's what you want to do. I think it, Mama V, I think there is a conversation, but you probably know, we know our family. And we know whether or not, a lot of times, whether or not the people that we're dealing with can handle what we put them in. Sometimes we'll be nice and ask them, can they handle it? But we know they can't. And so you got to err on the side of caution and say, 1, would I be able to handle this? 2, am I similar to the person I'm asking? If not, you have to be careful asking somebody to do something that you don't have an expectation that they can really do. Don't necessarily put somebody in a situation. So to make the shifts, and again, I grew up in a big family, so we did have dinner and shifts a lot of times. It was like, come back downstairs, so-and-so's here. I'm like, didn't we say, we said grace, we ate. I had saved me some chitlins for the morning. But I had to come back down, put back on my shirt because we had to dress up going to the table. What is that? And say, hi, Uncle Bubba. Hi, Uncle Herm. And my Uncle Herm kissed everybody. My dad's brothers kissed everybody. So I had to come and get all my dad's all my uncles' kisses, and my aunts. And my Aunt Ruby would kiss you dead in the mouth, bless her memory. And so I had to come back and get all of that every holiday. So I got used to the shifts. So it's not unfamiliar to me. We only had 1 turkey though. We didn't do several turkeys. That bad boy was sliced by the time everybody else got there. Say, Herb, give me some white meat. Okay. Give me some dark meat. Well, I'm gonna save a little for Marcus because he likes dark meat. But now I like white meat too. I eat them both. So I think they're honest and allow them sister in love to decide. Yep. I think that's great, Tabitha. I think that's great. I think you give them the opportunity and you say, hey, do you want to do this? And and I think you qualify, you add a little bit more to it. I think if you know your sister in love, you about know, because y'all been talking about it, right? She been saying, and that Negro, all he do is child support. Maybe she ain't saying that, but she might say, yeah, I heard he bought her a new house. What was that? I couldn't get him to buy me a new condo, whatever. You probably already know how she feels about this other relationship. So don't ask somebody to do something at the holidays that's going to be a leap for them. Holidays are probably not the time to do the leap. It is a good time for reconciliation. It's a great time for healing. It's a great time for adult conversations if you can have them, but not to the place where somebody feels that they're making a leap outside of what they would normally do. Maybe not, especially if you know it would be a tough leap from them and they might just fall flat. Maybe don't put somebody in that situation if you know how that person is. Now she might be like, I'm good with it. You know, he can sit over there, I sit over here. I don't have no problem with her. And as long as the wife's not a petty McBetty, like, yes, he took me to Honolulu. Oh, what carrot ring did you have for? I have this. As long as she's not doing that and he not doing it either. Yeah, we just got back from the Grand Canyon. We was out on the terrain and we we had a little long as he's not, as long as the parties are mature, there should be no giblet gravy flying, no mashed potatoes flying, please. No string bean casserole, judge me. Art thou a judge? No string bean casserole flying. No candied yams just running down somebody's forehead. Be careful the situations that you put people in, unfamiliar, uncharted, uncomfortable, without having conversations, coachings, and support. Because it might not go just as nicely as past the string bean casserole, please. It could get passed on a hot spoon upside a hot head. So we got to be careful. That way you're not assuming where she is. Yes, I think you're absolutely correct. A lot of emotion, but you know, I've said that to Tabitha because sometimes, you know, I have even done this in my past. So-and-so gonna be there. I ain't got no problem. I got there was a problem. It was all the problem. I wanted, as they say, I wanted all the smoke. I know if Autumn's watching this, she's probably putting her hand on her head. Uncle, that's not how you say it. I wanted all the smoke. But I said, oh, it's no problem. Until my button got pushed. Then my button got pushed. And I was like, oh, you want the smoke. Right? So you got to know that person too and say, are you sure? Let's talk this through. Let's walk through this, right? Just to kind of get them thinking about it. A lot of emotions around holidays and much around grief and loss. Divorce is a grieving loss where you don't bury the body, although it may be desired. Tabitha, that's spot on. That's spot on. That's akin to what I was trying to articulate. You just are so eloquent with it. And again, follow Tabitha. She's got sharpening sessions that you don't want to miss across platforms. Auntie Tab on Clubhouse, follow her. Mama V, follow them. Great stuff. Said so eloquently, because it's one thing when you can find the body in the cemetery. It's another thing when the body has lost 20 pounds, lost fat, started working out, got a younger wife, got a new car, got a new job, got a promotion, got a new house, right? The grief doesn't get buried, right? It's not attached to a burial of that sort, right? The body is still walking, even though you want to bury it, right? Might want to bury it, right? And so you can be stuck when the other person has moved on. And so you got to be careful of that. If adults are attending who are healed, it should be fine. It's not overnight, just a meal. Yeah, I'm hoping that too. I done seen some stuff though, Mama V, and I'm hoping, because you know a lot of things can happen in a 2-hour meal if it's 2 hours. Normally it lingers longer than that. Angie B, I'm so glad you stopped through. She says, my family for some reason feel this is okay because all of the brother, cousins, exes still come around my family and a few are friends with each other. That should be good. Require some folks to be mature. Require some folks not to be petty McBetty, right? Because if you are petty McBetty, your buttons can easily be pushed. That's why it's so important in self-awareness, as I coach and teach on that. And you continue to master self-awareness so you don't become a guru, though people think that they are. You have to acknowledge your emotions. You should acknowledge your emotions before you try to contend with them and control them. You acknowledge them because then you start to find out, now, where are the triggers? What's triggering this, right? And you get to sit in that. And that's why that's important. Instead of saying, I ain't bothered by that. That's unfair to yourself. If you are stuck and your ex has moved on, it's unfair to yourself to say, I'm unbothered by that. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Be honest with yourself and say, I'm stuck. They're called stuck points. There are points where you have thoughts and feelings about those thoughts that keep you from recovery, keep you from moving forward. And you got to be honest with yourself and say, I'm stuck. I'm broken. I'm hurt. I'm disappointed. I feel cheated for all the years I invested in that. And you got to, before you can master those emotions, control them and use them for positive strategies toward a positive end, you got to sit in them to acknowledge them. If you don't acknowledge them, you won't control them. And they will come up in the wrong times and be pushed by buttons that you didn't even know were there. Because again, your limbic resonance system, your system is already telling you before you're even cogitating about it that you're feeling some kind of way. If when somebody's name is mentioned, you feel something, there are emotions there that you need to sit in to contend with. So if you hear your ex's name and say, I talked to Richard the other day, and your ear, right behind your ear, feels like you want to swallow, or you get that little funny feeling in your stomach, or your knees tighten up, neck tightens up, those are your limbic system telling you that emotions are attached to that name. And quite frankly, they might be. But if you just push them aside and like, girl, Richard, that's been over. Okay, it has been over. But are you over it? Because your emotions are telling you something different. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't feel something for Richard. And you might feel he is a low down, rotten, dirty scoundrel, son of a sharecropper. Might be what you're feeling. But you have to sit in that long enough to understand how it triggers you so that you can control it. And that's what emotional intelligence is all about. It's mastering your emotions so that you can still navigate keeping a positive frame, keeping interactions with others, maintaining psychological and emotional safety, and then leveraging those relationships for good. And it's needed across the diaspora of African Americans and across the diaspora of the world. Emotional intelligence is one of the top skills in professional and personal excellence. But it's really, really, really helpful if you got to sit at a table and eat with somebody that you might not think so well of. Now, I can tell you, my dad was not a proponent of this. So I've worked and am still working through a lot of stuff. My dad believed don't sit with people that say that they're your enemy. Don't break bread with them. Don't eat with people that don't like you. I grew up in that thinking. There are many people that I just didn't break bread with. We just didn't, hey. But I know that was a Herbertism. And what I'm saying differently than that, you can choose to do that if you choose to and still win and still navigate it. Now, if it's going to put you in overwhelming angst, you don't have to navigate that, but you can with the right tools, is what I'm saying. You can navigate with the right tools. I'm not sure you want to put those tools to use in one day, but you can. You can navigate it if you can get in touch with your emotions and say, I know when he raises his voice, that triggers me. I know when he refers to something that I did wrong in his sight and says that she does it better, that would trigger me. I know I would be triggered if he says, I'm more happy than I've ever been. See, excuse me. You have to know what triggers you. I know that's a faux pas. You have to know what triggers you and sit in it and be able to recognize it before it's happening and say, what's getting ready to happen is a trigger. And here's how I redirect. And a simple thing that I say in redirecting, I'm getting back to the topic, I promise. One of the ways that you can quickly redirect, because when you're triggered, you go to fight or flight, which engages one part of your brain versus the other that you need when you're doing complex critical thinking. Okay. So to unhijack your brain is breathing. Flood your brain with oxygen. So in through your nose if you don't want the person to know that you're breathing. In, I say in to 4, hold for 7, out to 10. So 4 seconds, 7 hold, breathe, exhale 10. Do that 3 times. I call it 3 clarifying breaths, which I talk about in the gratefulness journey every day. What are you doing the next 30 days to transform your life? Available on Amazon, Kobo, or Barnes & Noble. Then after that, ask yourself this question. Now, what did I have for breakfast yesterday? Sounds like a silly question, but what it does is it engages the part of your brain that has to do critical thinking. It has to take your memory and take details. So then you are able to bring yourself back to a center where you're cogitating, where you're thinking before you're speaking. Before you're speaking. Somebody piss you off, even in traffic. Stop at that light, pull over to the side and breathe. It'll flood your brain with oxygen and say, what did I have for dinner yesterday? Anything that you have to go back to your memory for. Not, when was the last time somebody ran me off the road? Probably not. What did I have for dinner yesterday? And when you think of it, then you're back to thinking and you're back to being in control to master those emotions. And you might say, I'd rather not discuss our relationship from the past. That's kind of over and it looks like you're very happy. So let's enjoy a grateful Thanksgiving because we're all alive and let's all enjoy each other. And you move on to the next thing. Don't mean that you ain't hot under the collar, but you popped your collar to cover that heat. You felt the heat and you said, everybody don't need to feel the heat. Everybody don't need the ripple effect of my pond. I'm going to take a small stone, pop my collar, and I'm going to move on. So that you take your power back. Because that other person may be intentionally or unintentionally pushing your buttons. In either regard, it really doesn't matter in the height of the moment, whether they meant to or not, you've been pushed. Your goal now is to react to the push in a positive way to move it forward. Yes. I think that emotional intelligence, all that stuff is good. I'm doing a coaching for job seekers, but it has a whole module on emotional intelligence, which is the number one. It's been statistically shown to be the number one skill. And people who have high emotional intelligence make 30,000 more than their counterparts. So I'm doing a coaching for job seekers. Pretty soon it's going to come out and you can get that. But if you just want that module, you still got to get the entire thing. But you want that module on emotional intelligence, it's great to have. It's great to have. All right. Let me go to the comments. Evelyn Graham has joined us. Thank you so much. Tabitha says to walk into this scenario code and unaware is a recipe for disaster. That's why I'm not for the two seating without knowledge of the schedule. To have any revealing of the prior or future seating would still feel awkward and have relationships questions. If we are close, then why aren't we being transparent? That sounds great. Yeah, the Yolandra, I'm sorry. Thank you for joining us. I hope you will click share. The wife wants to tell her. She says, I can't uninvite her. I need to talk to her. The husband is saying, no, separate but equal. Din at 1, din at 4, din at 2, din at 5, din whatever. So that's 4 parts because he doesn't see it going well. He doesn't see that going well. So I agree that there have to be conversations. And really, as I shared in the inbox, the primary conversation has to be between the spouses, right? You probably don't forget that who's being invited to Thanksgiving, especially if they're not on good terms. That's a real important conversation, but they missed that. And she says she's sure she told him. And he either, he half pays attention. I said, well, you got to do him like my mom said, hey, she's Herb. She called my dad Herb. And then, he might grunt to what she's saying. She said, Herbert Holmes. So you call him my whole name, woman, my whole name. I want your attention. She said sometimes she had to say his name different ways, baby, different things to make sure he was hearing what she was saying. You know what works with your spouse. You got to make sure that you all are on the same page because then it could look like somebody setting somebody else up for failure. And you don't want that in your relationships, right? You don't want the sister-in-law, ex-sister-in-law thinking, oh, you wanted me to come and turn up. Oh, you wanted it to be a problem. Why can't I come? I know that's your brother, but he did me wrong. And right? You don't want that. So you want to have a conversation. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. That didn't happen, right? So the husband, I think, has a great idea. Since we've invited both of them and they don't yet know that each other is coming, they don't have to know. One comes at one, leave enough space so that the other doesn't come until a certain time. I raise the question now, what if you say one and he come at 2:15 and then he want to stay till 5? It'll be overlap. So you gotta be careful of that as well. Bilal Muhammad has joined us. Thanks for joining. I hope you will click share. You, Evelyn Graham, and all of those that have joined us. The topic is pinned if you're just catching up. And we're excited that you're here with us on Love and Stuff every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bilal says, I think both parties should be made aware and let them choose to come or not. But I would hate to miss out on enjoying time with family, but their awkward situation could ruin them. It certainly could. And because I lean toward, if one had to come and not the other, I'm leaning toward the brother. And I know I'm going to get a ton of inbox on that because he's purchased a ticket to come from out of town. He's coming from out of town. If that's what I said, either or. I'm the proponent, though. My first go-to is have the conversation with her, if you're going to have a conversation, even though I believe the idea that the husband came up with is like Mama V said, ingenious. I think if you know them well enough to know that they will not handle this well, don't put them in that situation. And you don't have to hurt feelings and uninvite somebody, which I think is a terrible thing to do for Thanksgiving. Yes, you're invited. We've all been in a pandemic. We haven't been able to be with our families. Some people are making a smaller gathering. And so I invite you. And then I said, see, what had happened was I just think that's tasteless. And I think if you can avoid uninviting somebody, avoid it. Now, uninvite or carving knife. Okay, uninvite, right? We don't want nobody carved up on the table, right? But we do want to go to great lengths to ensure that people are going to be able to enjoy family in peace. He's out of state. I agree with you, Marcus, as we can all have dinner with the in-town relative. Yep. If again, I think it's ingenious because, you know, the sister-in-law is the ex-sister-in-law. She might be by herself. There are children involved. I won't go into ages, but they're children to these parents, right? And so this is her family. So I don't want her to feel estranged or ostracized either, especially not at a holiday. And Jesus Pete, we're in a pandemic. People have literally lost members of their family, several members. I've seen, I was reading something recently where a son lost his dad, his mom, and his brother all from COVID. So imagine what his Thanksgiving is like. So if family can be together, facilitate that for the sake of together in peace, though. And that means there has to be some conversation. I'm with Tabitha on that, unless we can work out these two shifts, which I'm a product of shifts. My sister was 15 years my senior. My parents were 39 and 40 when they had me. I'm an oops baby. And so I understand shifts. I understand that. And my dad had 12 siblings. My mom had 12 siblings. I understand having people over in shifts. Wouldn't have multiple turkeys like the husband is proposing, but hey, if the wife will cook them or he will cook them, two small turkeys, that's what they want to do, cook on. They'll cook can be a cook, okay? But the goal is to have a peaceable exchange of love and family. And hopefully everybody can sit at the same table. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But if you know that your family can't, don't put Uncle Bubba. I use Bubba for my own family because my Uncle Herman and his son both were Bubbas. Don't put Uncle Bubba and Aunt TT at the same table and you know they don't get along. You're expecting giblet gravy all over the table. You know how you boil your ham in some ginger ale? Anybody do that? You're expecting the glaze you done made to be all over the place. Don't do that. What you do is ensure that the people that you know well aren't being put in a situation where the buttons that you know will be pushed. And to the people who have buttons, if you're like me, I think everybody has buttons, but I'm just going to use me. If you have buttons and you know them, clap your hands. Okay. Then you have to be prepared to sit in the center of those emotions, understand why you're being triggered, and choose something differently than a response that hurls food or a wine glass. I'm not giving you any ideas, but you get my point. You're going to have to sit in the center of your emotions and say, you know what? Number one, as Tabitha said, that I'm in grief, but the body ain't gone. The body looks better. The body looks younger. The body lost weight. The body got a new boo. The new boo is 10 years younger. The body got all the things I think that I should have. I haven't moved on. Maybe you should have moved on, but if this is where you are, it doesn't have to be where you stay. So it's okay that you're there temporarily, and you should acknowledge that. You shouldn't say, I ain't got no problem if you ain't got no problem. That's not true if that's not the truth. And you are putting yourself you're making it easier for you to be impacted, your triggers, when you deny them, when you deny what is obvious to you. I mean, obvious to everybody, though most times our behaviors are telling on us. But even if you've camouflaged them, even if you have synchrony, even if your emotions match your behaviors, even if you're able to make the mismatch, if you were able to, you're able to master that, right? You still don't want to put yourself in a situation where your buttons are open to be pushed, because you know how you react when your buttons are pushed. Unless, again, you're practicing those emotional intelligence skills of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. Those are the 4 skills of emotional intelligence. And the first one is the foundational one. Are you aware of what your triggers are and why? Why are you triggered because your ex-husband says, I'm living a good life? You need to understand the why. And you need to be able to respond positively when that button is pushed. I think it's a wonderful topic because there are going to be many gatherings this Thanksgiving of, as I mentioned, many layers or multifacets of families. There are going to be um, blended families with bonus dads and moms. All of them may not get along. There will be ex spouses in the same place. There will be mothers in law, fathers in law that might not be mothers in love, fathers in love. There might be that cousin there who stole that 20 from your purse 6 Christmases ago. That might be your children who are bringing their same sex spouses and their adoptive children, and you don't espouse the type of relationship or marriage that they have. You may have an interracial couple and you may not espouse that. There, you might have your son bringing his girlfriend and you don't like her. There could be any number of things that can come to the table besides food. And what I hope that you will do is that you will keep in mind that the purpose of this Thanksgiving is for you to live in thanks, for you to take inventory of everything and everybody that you have left, even if they're on the periphery of your life, and even at one time they brought you angst, pain, or trauma. That you will position yourself to master your emotions, to be present for your family. And if you don't have the strength or courage or tools, that you will decline that invitation so that you don't come and turn out the table, literally. But that if you can, that you sit in the center of your emotions and say, I'm not over what happened to me. That's your right. You can grieve for as long as you want to over anything that has occurred. But you must also reserve the right to be thankful for and grateful for everything and everybody you have left. And you, my friends, have life, health, a reasonable portion, and strength. And so you must, in the spirit of thanks, put aside those things that will keep you from being present and enjoying your family. Doesn't mean you can't pick them up. Doesn't mean you have to ignore them. Don't give full value, weight, authority, and power to them while you're trying to peacefully enjoy your family. Do all that you can to live peaceably. And your holiday will be as beautiful as I'm sure this inbox holiday is going to be. If you're like me, family isn't always what you want it to be, and you're not always what you want to be to your family, if truth be told. We have expectations of our family, and they have expectations of us, and we may not live them out the way that anybody desires. But that shouldn't prevent you from loving and shouldn't prevent you from being gracious to people that you don't agree with, whose behaviors you don't agree with, whose thoughts and belief systems you don't agree with. It takes some practice, but it's nothing that you cannot handle. But if you get to the place where you don't feel like you can handle it, the quickest advice that I can give to you is to breathe. Take 3 clarifying breaths. After you've done those 3 clarifying breaths, ask yourself, now what did I have for breakfast yesterday? This will cause, after the oxygen is flooded to your brain to tell you you're no longer in fight or flight, this will cause you to re-engage a part of your brain that says it's time to think. And you can think your way out of any insult, any backhanded comment, any shade. It is your choice. It's within your power and within your reach. Tabitha says, man, Mirandize yourself. Come on. What a great episode of Love and Stuff. I want to thank you for joining us. We started at 8:30 and we're trying to get it right to 9:30. We're at 9:31. I just want to remind you of 3 things. I apologize. Again, the gratefulness journey every day. What are you doing in the next 30 days to transform your life is available, still available on the road to grateful. And it talks about how I got on this road to grateful, most expressly because of my beautiful mother, Princess Irene Holmes, bless her memory, who on Thanksgiving Eve in 2012 told me that I have the right to grieve for as long as I want to and however deeply I want to. That's my right. I can reserve that right. But I also must reserve the right to be thankful for and take inventory of and be grateful for everything and everybody that I have left. And I want you to join me on that road to grateful, on the road to Thanksgiving, on the road to live to thank. What would our lives be like if we lived not for the praise of men, not for power and prestige, not even for more money, if we lived to be thankful, to be grateful? What a difference our lives would be. There is transformative power in gratefulness, and I invite you to get on the road. It doesn't mean that your life will just be rosy. It does mean that when days are dark, you'll be able to remember the smell of the roses and remember why You can walk on the path of thorns and still make it through. It will transform your life. I invite you to purchase that book. I'd love for you to join inside of Love and Stuff. I already know some amazing people. Most of my life, I've known Valencia Adner. She's been amazing all my life. But you'll get to meet her too if you come into the Love and Stuff community. Tabitha's a beautiful soul, an anointed woman, and so many others, Aria, Bilal, Dara, and so many others that are in the Love and Stuff community. I don't want to start calling names, and I won't have called everybody's, and everybody's amazing. Felix Holmes, Kamal Williams, they have their own show, Sports Talk with Kamal and Felix. Is growing. They got 200, almost 300 members in their group. It's a great community. And everybody's not looking for a boo or bae. Now, I know a lot of people are, and I'm here for you. I am Cupid. Don't be stupid. I'm Cupid. But there are some people who want to love themselves, who want to love God more, who want to love their communities more, who want to love their siblings more, their cousins, their family, their kindred. Pookie now. Love and Stuff is so much more than just the amorous love. It is about getting connected to love and sharing it to increase the amount of love in the world. That's why I love it. That's why it's powerful to me. And I want you inside of the Love and Stuff community. And you can go to the Love and Stuff community page and go under groups and join inside of Love and Stuff. I'm really pushing you to join because starting January, we're going on a 12-month journey in self-care. Each month, there's a different focus. And we're going to be bringing in some thought leaders in that area every week in each month, talking about just that area to help you up your self-care. Because see, the one that we've been trying to love has been boo and bae. The one we've been trying to love has been our cousin. The one we've been trying to love is somebody else. But we ain't been trying to love us. The neglected love is the self-love. So we're going on an extraordinary journey, and I want you to go on the journey. But you got to join inside of Love and Stuff. And the last thing, and I hope that you will see along your Facebook streets, next week, Thanksgiving Day, we don't want you to be alone. And we can't be in Phoenix, Arizona with you. We can't be in Uyu, Nigeria with you. We can't be in France with you. We can't even be in Chicago with you. But we can be virtual with you and remind you that you're not alone. Love and Stuff will be live starting at noon on Thanksgiving Day through 8 p.m. And every hour, it will be someone different within our Love and Stuff community, sharing words of encouragement, sharing prayer, sharing recipes, sharing great laughs, sharing memories of other holidays and of the wonderful people that have come through our lives, sharing entertainment. All you have to do is tune in and know that you're not alone. We're doing it because we want our love to touch you wherever you are. Join us, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, starting with Kamal Williams, who will kick us off, who is the host of our newest offering, which is Sports Talk with Felix and Kamal. He will start at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And then we close out at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wonderful time all in between. I hope you will click share right now. Tag 5 of your closest Facebook friends, Twitter followers, or YouTube connections, 5 of the more popular ones, and ask them this question. What do you do if you have 2 exes on your Thanksgiving table? I want to know what your answer is, and you can drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, I hope to see you next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But in the event I don't, remember, you are not alone and you are loved. You are well loved. See you soon.